Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or hello again if you are new here. My name is Laura and I am a Midwest wedding videographer, and today I'm going to be taking you through exactly how I edit a wedding video. I've got lots of tips. It's going to be probably a pretty long video, and I've got my iced coffee here to power us through. So let's just get into it. Cut to editing, Laura. Alright friends, so I figured the easiest way to just kind of show how I do my wedding workflow is to do an existing project. This is actually an elopement that's already up on my channel if you are kind of curious to watch. Moving right on into it, I've opened up my project in Davinci Resolve, and I just have all my files go on a Samsung T5 SSD, and from there I'm able to just drag and drop clips right into my project. One thing that I do to kind of keep everything organized and just super simple for my wedding workflow is having everything into folders divided by event. So, I've got the vows, the first look, etc. If you've never made a folder before, I'll just show you that really quick. You just go to create bins with selected clips. Now we have a bin, and for our purposes, I'll just name this sample. There we go. So as you can see, I kind of put everything in the order that the day happened. For me personally, I think it's easiest to edit when you have everything in chronological order, or if you have a section, like I keep all of the details in an area and then I can kind of just pop those in throughout the video as needed. Today I'm actually going to skip over the cut tab because that's not really something that I personally use in my workflow. So for me, the edit tab is where all of the action sort of happens. At the start of my process, I usually base a lot of how I'm going to edit a film based on the music that I choose. I did just recently create a video on Soundstripe. If you are interested in licensing some music or learning why it's important, I chat about that a little bit on there, and I will also leave my Soundstripe playlist below in case you just don't want to do all the digging to find some really great music for your wedding films. As far as editing goes, I really keep my weddings very minimal as far as, most of the time I do hard cuts, it's cut to the music, clips tend to not be super long. If your style is a little bit more upbeat, you can definitely throw some fun transitions and edits in there. My style is just more on the simple side. Something that I do though, just to kind of add a little something, when I'm shooting by myself, I tend to have a fair amount of tripod shots just because I have a little less time to get things going with the gimbal or glide cam. So what I will do is throw in a little subtle dynamic zoom, and if you've never done that before, you can just pop in, open your dynamic zoom. Something I really like to do is just have it be very subtle, but if you wanted it to be more extreme, I'll just show you what that looks like really quick. And then super fast on the dynamic zoom. That's not personally my taste. I try to keep it very subtle, but if you are interested in that at all, very simple and a really easy way to kind of jazz up your tripod shots a little bit. One thing that I do try and focus on with my wedding films is making sure that my audio is very balanced between the music and the voices, particularly if you have someone that's a little bit more soft-spoken, or if you have someone maybe officiating where they have some words really emphasized and then they talk a little softer later on. It can be a little difficult to balance those audio levels, but I find that Davinci makes this really easy just to pull up or down on your volume. I'll just show a quick sample and you can kind of check out the levels here. I just try to keep mindful that nothing is clipping and that the audio sounds balanced.
When I started to write my vows, I kept coming back to the little note I wrote you over 4 years ago. So it only seems fitting I start with, Dear John.
Perfect. So as I'm just listening to that back, I think her voice could be a teeny bit louder. Overall, like I said, I try to keep my editing very simple and for the most part in chronological order throughout the wedding day. And again, coming back to these bins really helps me just kind of fly through all of the day really quickly. As you can tell, some of these bins are quite a bit smaller just because this was a small elopement versus a full wedding day. Moving on to color, again, I keep color really simple and natural. I mostly go for kind of a Rec 709 look. If you are interested in a LUT and you're a Black Magic user, I really like the origami LUT pack. That's what I use on the bulk of my weddings. I think it looks great. And for the most part, just adjusting white balance, maybe adding a little contrast, and you're already good to go, run and gun. Again, I know this is super basic, just telling you that I throw on a LUT, but I do think for weddings, it's really important to kind of keep the colors natural, just because sometimes color is important to the bride, such as things like the bridesmaid dresses. So that's all I'm going to say about that, but if you'd like a little bit more in-depth tutorial regarding color grading, I can definitely make that as well. Popping into delivery settings, this I have set for a 1080 timeline, but generally if I'm delivering to a client, I will pop on down to 4K for the DCI scope 2.39. That gives those fabulous crop bars if you are a fan of that look as well. And I always make sure I'm exporting in the best quality. And if you've never used Davinci before, of course you're going to add to your render queue and select render all. And your wedding is ready to go. I know this tutorial was pretty simple and I just kind of flew through my process, but I do think it's really great, especially when you're first starting out making wedding films, to just kind of have a look at how other people organize their workflow. I know when I started out, I feel like it took me so much longer to edit a wedding because I just wouldn't organize anything, and I was just feeling a little bit overwhelmed by having so much footage to go through. So hopefully this video provided a little bit of guidance in regard to that. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate you, and I will catch you in the next one.